I don't think Newbee switch up their playstyle too dramatically. I think they still are going to play the sort of like very safe laning phase.
Wow.
I don't think they're going to get too aggressive.
Okay.
Again, like I completely agree with the Phoenix matchup against Newbee, and
yeah, so we're exactly the same as we were in the second game.
Oh,
exactly
I think this is actually a replay, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are actually getting replays fed to us.
We're saving costs here by replaying game 2 as game 3.
I actually love it when the first like 4 picks are replayed. I think it tells you a lot about the small changes that a team says, right? Because we identify as analysts what we think is wrong with the draft, but that doesn't always coincide with what the teams themselves
Well, it's also
feel
about
like.
feedback from each player, isn't it? About how they matched up in lane, who they found difficult to kill, who they found difficult to cope with, and obviously they've said no, we didn't have any problem with the Phoenix, we didn't have any problem with the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah,
and likewise they've said no, the IO was fine, we don't really care about the line.
What you kind of discover in this is like priorities. It really sets what, in the similar kind of draft, what the priorities are for Newbee and for Alliance. Well, more so for Newbee, because obviously they were the ones who lost that last
I mean, if we
game.
get getting an identical, it has changed a little bit. If we get an identical lineup here, right? Not only would that be incredible, but that's Newbee basically saying, yeah, that was us playing badly.
Oh, they won't do that. We're not going to see Viper again. I don't think they'll pull out the Viper.
They can't pull out the Night Stalker anymore because that just got banned.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. The Night Stalker for the Bristleback.
That was the last pick last time.
Yeah. So far, I mean, Newbee is doing almost the exact same. They banned Spectre last game as well, but they last banned it. They have Chen still in the pool.
I'm pretty sure you would rather have Bristleback as Newbee. I don't know. I really thought the Bristleback was a very smart ban by Alliance in 3-4.
EGM, I mean, there's no reason to not pick this hero. You've beaten, you beat Secret this morning with it. You've just beat Newbee with it. Just keep playing it, EGM. Yeah. Keep playing that blooming hero. You haven't got your IO. Get yourself your Rubik.
So Rubik comes up as a third. It was fourth last time. They had the puck instead. But are Newbee going to just go with the Viper again?
I don't think
they can't.
I don't know.
That would be really odd, wouldn't it?
It would be really weird.
I think he's just maybe trying. I think he's just trying to get the Moo Invoker in the draft. I really do. It's done so well across the land in terms of how they did in their street. He played it so many times and it was so strong. And already, with the IO and the line, you've got that kind of pick off the setup for the strikes and such. And already, fairly good attack speed once you get those levels through to take down the egg from a distance. They just play around it so well.
I mean, I don't think I really have too much to add, just because what I wanted to see in the second draft, I want to see in the third draft, right? I want to see the Bristleback, I want to see the DK. I'd be okay with Moo Invoker as a potential fourth pick as well. And it kind of has to be fourth pick because I think it's going to be banned by Alliance fifth.
But so far, this is Alliance saying, no, we're fine. This is what we want to play.
I mean, if it's not
figure us out.
You don't fix it. That's the thing. If you just want a game like that with that draft, the way you swung back round an incredible throw that you've recovered from, I think you're going to be very comfortable with playing these heroes.
But by the same token, I mean, aren't Alliance sitting there thinking, well, we made some mistakes in there and we let them back into the game and we shouldn't have done that, and with the same game played again, we wouldn't do that.
It is very interesting to note that Alliance, they didn't need to pick up a support straight away because you already know that Newbee has all their support, so they left the puck in.
Okay, so we got the DK this time.
Allowing Newbee to reveal their roles first, so we can see something else against Dragon Knight.
What Newbee did do is that, a lot of the times Alliance like to get the puck spec combo, so by taking the Spectre away, maybe that makes Alliance think twice about still going for the puck on S4. Obviously, we did see it last game without the Spectre being considered, but it was picked up before the Spectre was then banned, so Alliance, they may have felt stronger, but obviously after the way the last game's gone, maybe they, they feel that they can still play the puck without that Spectre matchup that they do normally look for.
You wanted the DK at this point last time.
Yeah.
You called it 3-4, yeah. And it made sense then, it makes sense now.
Yeah, I think so. It's really important for Newbee to maintain mid-game dominance, and that's what Dragon Knight does best. He'll never lose your lane as a Dragon Knight. Like, it's just unlikely. Like, he may be matched up against a Viper or something, but even then, you're like, haha, breathe fire a bunch, and then you just focus on the mid-game outlook.
So presumably that will change Alliance's fourth pick, which effectively was Rubik last time, but could be Puck if they want to go down the same route.
I mean, I'd love to see the S4 Queen.
No, I don't think you draft. The Puck was problematic for Newbee last time, right? But the Dragon Knight matches up a lot better against the Puck, so I don't think you can get it this time around for Alliance. This time, actually, you consider like matching the DK in the mid lane when it comes to maybe like a similar melee style hero, the tankier style. But what would that be? Hero matchup.
I wonder if this is a game for S4 to go back and pick up the DP. Try and go in for that push. Something that's going to be able to still, you know, trade, farm in the lane with the DK. The DP or the Queen of Pain, I'd really like to see S4 pull out this game. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
The question is he going to go for the mid now? Or is he going to go for
they normally leave Lotus Hero to life. Yeah, it's the DP. I really like this. This is, you know, this is kind of what Alliance, it can work really nice around, you know, already the picks with the Bulldog. And it's also something that's just going to do well in the lane against the DK. There's no doubt about it. S4 is going to be able to find farm, trade farm, and maybe even come out on top and zone this DK back.
Yeah, so you're matching, if they are going to run like a Bristleback, right? You're matching the damage over time with kind of superior action. When you pick up a Death Prophet, you force the enemy team to think about like very targeted damage. So Slaughter becomes more of a value pick. Something that was kind of bouncing in my head. What works with Wisp is the Juggernaut, which you're kind of pointing to for a potential pickup for Alliance, which also works for them, right? I think Jug is just one of those value picks right now with Healing Ward. Directed damage. Clinks wouldn't be bad, maybe. Yeah, Clinks wouldn't be bad.
Gyro. This is
just all-out team fight. Okay.
This is a lot of fun for Newbee. I mean, this is similar to some of the drafts they've run before. They would normally finish this off with something like the Tide Hunter, which of course is still available. Tide could certainly fit into this draft very nicely here for Newbee if they want to finish that up with. It's going to be interesting to see what Alliance want to take away. Obviously, Darkseer is still in the pool. I think you maybe look to take away the Darkseer.
I'm not sure if Tide
Witch Doctor
offers you.
It's only the offlaner here at the moment. I think it's the Darkseer and the Tide are the two big ones. I think if you like, take away one of those. Oh, the Bristol were taken away?
For me, the problem is that I think you still want to make sure as Newbee, because you think you're the better team, to have superior late game, but Gyrocopter doesn't offer you that, right? But if you have a 3-core lineup, it does offer you that.
What about Quap?
I really think they should have picked up the Bristleback as the 4th pick, and then left their carry for last. And then they could have potentially greeted it out if they had the read on Alliance that was the best play.
So
there's the Juggernaut.
There's the Jug ban. Okay. So they have run a Queen of Pain before with the DK and the Gyro.
I mean, they may still go back for the team fight aspects and go for what Owen is suggesting. I just feel less confident about that. I would have felt really good about Bristleback and Gyro.
They've just had some brilliant games on the Tide and the Darkseer.
I don't think there's any other off-lane, like Legion Commander.
You kind of also need a hero that is able to catch up, because you know that there's going to be a Rubik sitting in the lane, and it's very difficult to lane against that. So Tidehunter and Darkseer do both offer you those.
Yeah. That's why you need something else.
This is what they've done before. It's really just that Gyro Tidehunter combination. And it's something as well, you look at the lineup of Alliance, pretty much every team fight Tide's going to be able to get that Ravage out. They've not got the disable to stop him, you know, throughout his whole health bar. There's the silence, but it's going to be cracking off. There's always going to be the chance for him to get that Ravage out, which is then going to allow the Gyro and the DK to get to work on the backlines, because they're going to be there sustained by the IO, and suddenly the team fight's going to look incredibly strong for Newbee. Now, Alliance with his final pick, still looking for Loader's hero.
We need a frontliner.
EGM is going to steal Ravages how many times?
I mean, I'm looking forward to see the Rubik play.
I say 3 times.
Frontliner.
I think the spread would be 3 to 4.
3 to 4?
Yeah.
He needs to get a Blink Dagger, and then he can spend outside of the Ravage.
A Sven.
Chaos Knight, Sven, and there was another option that was out there for.
Well, they could have gone with the Ursa again, I guess, but
I think it was like those 3 strength heroes you needed a frontliner for.
Okay, we're going to go out to our commentators very quickly.
Newbee.
Newbee.
They've done this before. It's going to work again.
I almost want to side with Alliance because I think they did a better job in the last 4 or 5 picks. But
okay.
I think Newbee's still the better team.
All right. There we go then. So Newbee the better team, but maybe Cap's putting his money where his mouth is. He says Alliance. Let's find out. Game 3, one goes home, one goes through to the lower bracket final.
Thank you, Red Eye. 3 non-believers on the panel. The crowd full of believers as they're all screaming Alliance's name. I'm Gareth, joining me as Gods, and we are here for Game 3. Team Newbee up against Alliance, and we're straight into things. What are you feeling about the draft?
I like what Alliance have put together. The Death Prophet to me was like the great mid-pick that was still available when they got to that 4th pick. They didn't opt for the puck again, but it gives them a great way to take objectives, control the mid-game a lot better where Newbee likes to fight you, and then the Sven last pick is such a good matchup against the Gyrocopter, even against the Dragonite in a lot of ways. It's just so sustainable. If you get your early game farm, you can do a lot of damage.
Lines drawn on the map already.
Is he ready for this smoke?
It was a very early smoke. Kaka thought they were going to come down bottom lane, but Chuan has said no. They're going to come through mid, and we're going to scout them out instantly. Observer Ward up on the high ground, but Newbee perfectly ready for this movement, and Alliance, they don't get too much done with it.
Yeah, and they probably know even that there was a ward planted on the high ground there too with that smoke move. So good positioning from Newbee here in the early game rotations, but Alliance not done. Come right into KP. There's a telekinesis and a sunray. This is a lot of damage.
They're holding him in place. Loda doesn't have another stun to throw just yet. He's holding him to a mango though. 3 seconds until he has another storm hammer, but Alliance
I'm not going to go for it.
Do not commit for it. Well, Newbee, they position themselves all around bottom room, so it's going to be the 1-for-1 trade-off, bounty for bounty, as we so often see. Moo will find his. So, it'll be DK, Donkey Kong, against the Death Prophet towards the mid. That matchup going to be aided a little bit by the Wisp. Kaka will be able to help out the good old Dragon Knight.
Chuan given sentries early to help deward his lane potentially. If they watch that last game's replay, something you often do is just check those early ward spots, and yeah, KP is going to find it right from the get-go. And I imagine that's entirely from watching Game 1 replay, seeing those ward spots. As an offlaner, that's like the one key thing you want to see is where are my opponents planning level 1 wards?
So we saw Kaka from time to time go up towards top and try and help out the offlane a little bit, but he's always spotted out. EGM with Arcane.
He's got the Tenga regen from the ward, so he's super tanky. He has a point in Kraken. He's just going to heal up all of this harass. It's still good to keep him level 1 as Alliance, but KP at least is keeping tabs of both supports.
Both of them forced on this lane, and they've also got that nice little Radiant Observer ward up towards the top as well, seeing exactly where they are, and KP will be fully aware that he cannot move any closer to that lane or the wave. Oh, what is Bulldog doing down towards bottom lane? I can see
he pulled the wave through the river, like all the way up that ramp to get himself his first creep wave of farm. It cost him a lot of mana. He used up, I think, at least 4 treants to get this here. He will get a level 2 off of this, though. So overall, a good start for him in the off lane. He'll get level 2 before KP, but this is what you'd expect when you look at these off lanes and what they're against. It's a Nature's Prophet versus Dual Lane. It's a Tide versus a full-on tri-lane. I don't think either team is going to be too concerned about their off laners struggling right now.
What's the answer here for Newbee? Is to pull across as well themselves, drag the lane across and reset equilibrium?
Just start pulling and stacking. Yeah, they've already gone for the side pull here in the big camp. This will give him some extra farm. Will deny Bulldog any additional creep waves. So Bulldog will get level 2, but not much more. He's going to have to summon more treants and pull additional waves if he wants to get more out of this.
Ancient's being stacked, but Arcane is in there.
Nice move. He knows this. Like, this is already, like, from the first 2 minutes, you can tell this is going to be a very passive, farmy game, at least for the first 10 minutes. And that's something which Ake wants to shut down with his warding. He's blocked both the Ancients and the big camp by the secret shop to prevent farm coming out, and Newbee realistically have to buy additional sentries to combat this.
It feels like this mid lane matchup, it's very similar between the two players. S4, Moo, and maybe you can put, Fata in there as well from Team Liquid, the same style of play, the same hero pool, where they don't get these flashy heroes. They don't have that massive advantageous matchup between the two mids. They just like to be static, farm a little bit, but maybe a bit different in this game. S4's given the Death Prophet, which can try and catch out the DP, but things are evened out by the Wisp. Coming across, bottling up Moo and helping him a touch as well. The battle for the range creeps continues towards the mid.
Kaka fumbled the Ancients aggro a bit here. He's actually going to miss his stack because twice in a row he accidentally attacked the Ancients when he didn't need to. Takes a lot of damage as a result, so perhaps some Game 3 nerves kicking in there. But all in all, just means there's one Ancient Stack missed, when realistically you're going to kind of cap out the Ancient Stacks there before anyone can even farm it. Tide needs levels before it can go for it. Gyrocopter needs farm before it can go for it, so it's not the biggest deal that you mess up that stack because it's not like you can get unlimited stacks. You don't have a Sven on your team who can farm it pre-10 minutes.
And of course, DK can't farm until he hits level 11 either, so there is that timer they need to hit before they can go for that one. Top lane, still the safe lane tri-lane though against this Tidehunter who's stuck at level 1, and this is the big reason for it. Yep. RK has been doing this, time and time again. A nice little aggro drag there though. They'll go in with a Sunray and telekinesis, a Stormhammer as well, and KP will be your first blood.
He thought he'd hit the money. He was like, whoa, this is double creep wave. I'm about to pull my tower. And then he's like, oh no, wait, Alliance, they're actually not going to let me get this.
Error.
Yep. Normally you give up a first blood at this stage, it's fine as an offlaner, assuming you've contested the lane, gotten like level 3, but KP getting no XP and now giving up a kill. Not the result he was hoping for, and he's going to get lifted back again at the top lane, KP.
Nice body blocks. EGM, godlike player, gets in with a block, and RK with a Sunray again. They've got this stun through, but the damage isn't quite there. The Sunray is barely going to get in for the EGM. The final projectile thrown from the Rubik. Okay. And KP paying for his insolence on this top lane.
Now we can call this Newbee off lane a problem lane. Like being level 1 for a little while, sometimes just going to happen when you're against a tri lane, but the kills now, missing out on getting that farm, going to be very costly. And on the side of Alliance, you've got a Nature's Prophet, about to hit level 4, Phase Boot's already up, 10 CS, 6 denies. Huge discrepancy all of a sudden between these off lanes.
A big old difference. And of course, mid lane just keeps trading off farm. Bottom lane, Bulldog continues across there. But equally, the supports on Newbee, how are they doing?
Newbee support's not great. Kaka still very low level. Lion level 4. Like a level 6 Lion has a lot of kill pick-off potential that could lead to some turnarounds, but that's still a bit of a ways off. The Gyrocopter cooldown level 6 with a TP may be the answer to this top lane, but even that is a big commitment. And this is where, like, these kill attempts from Alliance have just come that little bit earlier than Newbee are normally ready for. They love to TP and counter gank those kind of plays, but that's normally around like the 7 to 10 minute mark when they have a level 6 Dragon Knight, a level 6 Gyrocopter, which just hasn't quite come up yet for the Newbee side.
I'm seeing them hammer into this tier 1 at bottom lane though. As Hao wants to try and gain any advantage he possibly can, and just look at that. We're almost 6 minutes in and Tide is still sitting at level 1. Tragic stuff for KP.
He's just wishing, like, why didn't I buy an Iron Talon? What was I thinking? If he had an Iron Talon and just went level 1 jungle, he'd be level 4 right now with a ton of
Oh, Bulldog, hello!
All right.
Denies out the tower against 3 heroes. And that catapult was not helping out at all either.
Bulldog on point this game so far.
Alliance, in the previous games, have used the Sunray to farm up for RK over towards the large camp. That's been when Loda's had, heroes where he can't really clear through them, but with the Sven available, giving him a lot of farm emphasis here and heading into, well, he's got a Helm of Iron Will. It could be the Helm of the Dominator to stack Ancients for himself, but he might have also picked up on this nice little armlet trend that we've seen from Sven's.
This is a depressed Tide. He's come mid just to leech XP. Like, he's like watching the DK farm, not even expecting. Now he takes over the lane, but this is a telltale sign that Moo has rotated off. He hits level 6, goes for a smoke with Trine, but this play almost like has to work. Newbee need to get a kill on Bulldog and ideally like transition into an objective or a tower. They are going to find Bulldog though. He's positioned so well.
He scouts him out.
Oh, the positioning there where he positions as close as possible to the tower while using the treants to pop the smoke immediately, and then he phase boots away. Just great play coming out from Bulldog.
Instant movement though from Alliance. They see the smoke rotation up through to the offlane, so they smoke and TP towards the mid, wrapping around and looking for this Tide. They've shut him down a little bit, but they want to shut him down more. The movements come in, the TP forward as well. S4 moves up towards the high ground. Moo, Dragon Fall's there, but the Sunray onto 2 of them. The cooldown lands on the heads, but the telekinesis back from EGM. Moo is dropping lower and lower, and he's not going to die. The Ghosts do not chase through while S4 very far forward. The Hex back onto Loda. Here's God's Strength. He needs to stick on the target. He needs to do the damage to dive forward from RK. He's barely keeping Hao alive with Kaka somehow tethering through. Moo and Hao gonna count their lucky stars that they don't drop.
I think Newbee are lucky not to get team wiped there, to be brutally honest. That should have been dead Gyrocopter, dead Dragon Knight, it looked like. Those heroes were just caught way in over their head. Alliance just a bit unlucky not to get more kills there. A few heroes who just didn't quite go down to the exorcism damage. S4 just running out of Spirit Siphons as well. Didn't have the best chasing potential as well with just the brown boots. And Newbee, like you say, thank their lucky stars for not giving up more. Kaka comes in for some heals that help just keep 1 or 2 heroes alive on about 50 HP. Boy, should that have gone horribly wrong. Alliance were ready for that play. Death Prophet, again, much like Bulldog, it's S4 this time, positioning himself such that he doesn't get caught by the Dragon Tail. If they get that instant Dragon Tail off, even with Alliance sitting behind S4 there, he still gets blown up by a cooldown rocket barrage. But he gets back to the Sven, gets himself back in position, and Newbee now commit to another smoke. They really are going all in to try and find pickoffs to turn this game around, but Dire Vision just scouting out so much of this map gives Alliance an incredible amount of information right now.
It's like a mirroring of the Observer Woods here. Alliance all over towards that secret shop, but we'll watch Hao and Chuan prep themselves for a little bit of a go here onto S4, but he
knows.
Almost
S4
clairvoyant
knows.
in the way that he moves himself back behind the tier 1, and I guess the fact is, there's no one showing on the map here from Newbee, and it's a topic that's come up a hell of a lot recently. It's the knowledge game. Since the Shanghai Major, Nature's Prophets and your Beastmasters giving that intel, knowing when people are missing off the map, but even more so now with knowing when people aren't farming and showing.
And look at Bulldog. He's farming aggressively and no one's come his way. So he's just like, well, look, no one's actually down here. They've all made this rotation towards the offlane to go for that kill. S4 knows it. The entire Alliance side know it, and they're just punishing Newbee because of it. They're farming mid, they're farming bottom. They've got Aki in the jungle, getting some farm himself and just stacking up camps, so...
They even scanned their own jungle to see if they've, maybe sidled their way through the Dire jungle down towards mid.
Loda's just taking over the Radiant jungle, saying, well, okay, they're going to 5-man top, let's just go to the Radiant jungle, make sure I can at least maintain my farm here.
That's a good start from Alliance so far. Loda looking to make it great, though, with the Armlet Quelling Blade, farming himself through, like you said, this Radiant jungle, but he still needs a fair few items and a little more ramp-up time to build him into that beastly Sven that we've seen from him before, of course. Admiral Bulldog available to push down this tier 1. Phase and drums are pretty much done, and they'll even secure this with the God Strength.
Yeah, worthwhile doing, I imagine, at this stage. Just take it down as fast as possible so you can go back to farming the jungle. And it's just kind of an efficiency play coming out from Loda. He knows that Alliance can kind of pick and choose fights to their liking, so not going to need the God Strength sometime in the next couple of minutes.
KP hits level 6, 10.5 minutes in. It's been a rough ride. He's got there eventually on cooldown. Where's Jara throwing that? Just to he's found a little stack.
Just a double stack here, not too big of a deal for Alliance to lose this one.
S4 even popping the ultimate down on bottom lane for this tier 2. Newbee still not reacting to what's going on.
This is about to say a tower that Newbee definitely want to defend. S4 will TP himself out. But just the rotations in themselves forced out. Hao stayed around the mid lane, so he's still at least maintaining his farm. And goes straight into an Ogre Club. I imagine this...
Dragonlance?
Yeah, it looks like Dragonlance. Band of Elven Skin with it, so we'll see a Dragonlance first time. It's kind of like the new drums for Gyrocopter in a lot of ways.
And he's picked up the Windlace as well to give him that little boost of movement speed.
Another smoke from Newbee. This one, it wasn't underneath the Observer Ward, but the problem is there's so many Observer Wards in mid lane, in the jungle, in both jungles, that it becomes very obvious when Newbee are missing from the map. So even though you don't see the smoke, you can kind of sense it in a lot of ways.
Process of elimination. If they're not there or there or there, where are they? Chuan, unlike him, misses out on the Earth Spike, and
Alliance are just dodging everything this game. It is so impressive to watch.
Look at the side lanes.
How they play around the smokes.
Look at these side lanes. Bulldog's on the tier 2. Top lane is Sven getting in onto tier 1, and Newbee, they're kind of corralled. It's Alliance being almost sheep herders here, forcing Newbee into this little narrow position where mid lane, converging into this tier 1, they could even get wrapped in on and actually initiated on with the telekinesis dive forward. S4 Spirit Siphon onto Kaka and a 2-man stun. KP revs his back, but they're already dead. Alliance get 2, looking for the third, but Moo, he is too fast for them. Alliance hold on to the tier 1 though, and they gain so much from that, they could even walk into Roshan.
It's the vision game. Alliance saw 2 heroes rotating bottom with their Observer Ward, and the reaction to that is Prophet TP's back to his tier 2 tower at bottom, gets back to safety, while his team initiate on mid, taking an advantageous team fight. Bulldog gets out safely. He then has teleportation if his team need him to join up in the mid lane, or he can just continue farming. So it's just, like you say, puppeteering. They're just keeping Newbee in this mid lane where they can't get anything done. They're not taking the tower. Alliance are out farming them. They're avoiding every smoke gank, and Newbee yet to really connect with a single rotation, which is just so uncharacteristic of this Newbee team, but really speaks to how well Alliance are playing.
Primary item on that Death Prophet is going to be the Veil of Discord, and it looks like it's fully done for S4. That is spell damage increase, but Bulldog's looking for Kaka up at top. Can the little ball of light get himself into the darkness? No, he cannot. The Treants will scout, and Kaka, without a leg to stand on, will get dropped here, and we'll stolen out. Little
tether.
Little tether for...
tether Arcane Boots, I guess. That's maybe the play.
But yeah. Veil of Discord on Death Prophet.
Just good stats, and like obviously the magic damage amp is nice as well, but everything about this item makes it very cost effective on Death Prophet. We do finally get that tier 1 mid tower. They've been rewarded here or there by Alliance with some scraps, and these tier 1 towers feel like scraps because always we're seeing Alliance trading towers while finding kills, and Newbee have to invest a ton of just human resources every time they want to take these towers. It's always like 3, 4, 5 heroes to do so.
Alliance even scanning behind that tier 1, seeing that the defense is coming in from Newbee, and very wisely backing off. And this is one of those kind of things in the game that hasn't been fully utilized up until this tournament, really. And it's the first big tournament where we've seen it come into action a lot, and teams realizing what they can do with it, spotting out smoke ganks, and really shining a light on how useful it can be.
Now, Newbee's draft about to get a whole lot scarier, though. They're going to have what looks to be a Shadow Blade on Dragon Knight from Moo. Gyrocopter's in pretty good fighting shape just by having his level 9 Dragon Lance cooldown, like Rocket Barrage. He does a lot of spell damage, but as I say that, Alliance are going to secure themselves an Aegis. So Newbee are probably going to be looking to fight fairly soon with the Shadow Blade pickup, but I don't think Alliance are going to let them find pickups. If anything, Alliance may just look to 5-ran around the next Exorcism when they've got Aegis on load up.
And when that God Strength's back up, I think you're right, Gods. He picks up the Aegis, and Newbee are still waiting for an item on the Tidehunter. He's got his Arcane Boots up, but no Blink, no Force, no mech or anything in sight for him, and that's something that they have relied on previously, is having KP farms. It's like super farmed from that offlane.
And that's normally what happens even just from talking to KP. It's like he understands like the first 5 minutes of the game, he's often in a really tough lane, but his like post-laning stage process is very much farm and catch up, but he's had to take that to the extreme this game. He's not been able to offer his team anything. He's died way more than he usually does in lane, and as a result, it's Newbee really under the gun here. And KP looks to be rushing a Blink Dagger. I think they're pretty much just going to be going all in on that first team fight or two with a Blink Tide, followed up with the cooldown from Gyrocopter, the DK running in with his Shadow Blade, and moves. Yeah, he's just picked up his Shadow Blade, so we'll see what the next rotations are going to be. If you're Alliance, you see this and you're like, okay, make sure we have sentries down anytime we're pushing this 5, and you even consider getting an early gem this game.
Alliance actually looking to take the fight to Newbee before the initiation comes from them. Is this Blink Dagger still yet to be built up by the Tidehunter, and there's a tier 1 almost free for the taking for Alliance, but they do have to be, a little bit cagey with how they go about this. There are very few defensive abilities back on them. They are looking aggressive as how he goes in for the deny, but I don't know, was this worth it with a stun back onto Chuan? He will not lose his life, so yes, it was.
Yeah, the follow-up wasn't there for Lotus stun. Rubik a little bit too far away with telekinesis, but ultimately Alliance, they get 1 tower, they back off, they don't really lose too much. They've still got a good 3+ minutes left on this Aegis, and they got a tier 1 with Exorcism on cooldown. So the next time they go for a push, it's an Exorcism, it's likely going to be a tier 2. But they have to be scared and worried about this Blink Dagger. KP now completes it. There's a smoke on Chuan as well. I imagine the call is very much everybody group up as 3, and then we can relocate in the Gyrocopter. That's the really nice thing about having the IO is you don't have to commit 5 heroes to a smoke gank. It becomes very apparent when you have 5 heroes smoked. We kind of saw that earlier where Newbee almost over-smoked and wasted a lot of time not farming. But once they clear this mid lane, wouldn't be surprised to see them go for a play and then have the Gyrocopter up top relocating in.
Tide was holding on to his money and hadn't made the decision yet,
but
he
goes mech.
He makes the snap decision now to fully complete the mech.
Yeah, it must have been some indecision there because otherwise you may as well buy the components with some kind of build-up. But
I guess the team call is to wait things out and see how things go.
I imagine that this call is made because Alliance have an Aegis. If there was no Aegis on the side of Alliance, you pick up a Blink and you smoke and you take the fight to them. But taking into consideration, this Aegis was just picked up and has a decent duration left on it. Newbee, instead of going for the aggressive play, are going to slow things down and farm. I quite like the decision. Like it's one of the two ways back in this game. You take fights head on, take it to Alliance, but that hasn't worked. So if anything, Newbee's going to be doubting themselves, and I think because of that, going the more farm-oriented approach is going to work better for them.
Well, there's your BKB for the gyro, but Sven has picked up a Blink Dagger, that form of initiation. Vitally important for Alliance to follow through with S4 running forward. But this time around, Arcade's Phoenix hasn't had the kind of stellar run through with the itemization. Still sitting on Tranquils, very poor indeed. Bottom of the net worth, in fact. Hasn't really picked up too much because, you know, previous games he's gone like 4-0-7 and found kills with Sunray. This time it's been a little bit more difficult to get his name up on the board.
It's interesting seeing how different teams play the Phoenix very differently. You've got your teams like your 4-position Phoenix players who get a lot more farm, get their early minuses, get their fast level 11s. Ake in a very different position. Against the BKB Gyrocopter, we actually see Gyro disassemble his Dragonlance to get the BKB. It could very well be a BKB Gyro who just bursts down the Supernova and Ake's just dead in a team fight. So he has to rely on like the physical damage threat of the Sven, the Death Prophet, as well as the Nature's Prophet Sprout to protect his egg.
I love watching Bulldog play Nature's Prophet because all the time he's like spamming TPs onto the enemies, trying to bait out like, oh, I'm going to TP up here. Just watch me. Just watch me TP up here, and then cancels it last second. So you can see Newbee like pinging out his TPing into these trees. I can see him where he's going, but Bulldog very aware.
And he just min-maxes the hero so well. Like he makes Sprout count. Like normally Sprout on this hero looks like an okay spell, but he makes the Sprout look like almost Nature's Prophet's best spell at certain times. So Alliance, onto the high ground we go.
Not long left on this Aegis though. S4, he's the one that's jumped and fingered down. There's the Sunray healing him up, but he's still taken out an Alliance, overstepping their bounds. Maybe just a touch, as Newbee were ready, they were prepped for that, and they'll come back in again with a relocate forward EGM ripped apart. Alliance, 20 minutes in.
They're not going to go for the Ravage, it looks like. Chuan, Blink Dagger combined. I mean, they knew about the Shadow Blade. They had a sentry. They were expecting the DK to flank them from the north because they didn't put the sentry in the lane. They had it kind of to scout DK coming in from above, but Newbee just fight them head on. Moo just goes in with a standard invis initiation, and then I think even Lion without a Blink can make that play just by having Impale Finger from far away. The Blink made it a whole lot easier. But a bit kind of over-aggressive from S4. It feels like, I mean, it's not entirely, it's probably the team decision. Like, put S4 with Exim on the high ground, but they have no way to really save him. The Sunray heal is just this slow over time heal. The burst damage from Finger of Death, too much. They didn't even have to Ravage. If anything, Newbee could have thrown more spells to kill the Death Prophet and then just use their high ground to still not lose a fight. Like, you commit Ravage plus cooldown plus Finger to kill a Death Prophet. It sounds kind of bad when there's a Sven on the other team, but it works because you're on your high ground defense.
And also the fact that that Aegis was expiring like 10 seconds after they pushed up on that high ground. Maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they're thinking about trying to bait Loader into running into that fight and getting Newbee to battle into him rather than the Death Prophet instead. But regardless, Alliance, they have given away 2 juicy kills over to Newbee, and they failed their first high ground push. They have to go back and kind of reset.
There's going to be some worries on their side. KP's going to have a Blink Dagger. It looks like now he has the money to buy it at least, so either that or a 4-staff, I imagine, but the Blink being the much more likely choice just to give him a secondary Blink burst initiation to go on that Death Prophet in the front lines. This could be a game where S4 will need to tank up as soon as possible. Goes for the Yules for now, but wouldn't be surprised to have him go into something like a BKB after this Yule Scepter, just because he needs the magic immunity. The burst damage from a Lion, the DK stun initiation, the Tide Ravage, the Gyro cooldown, it's all this magic damage.
Octarine Core will have to wait. BKB up, and speaking of BKBs, Dragonite is closing in on his Ogre Club and the Mithril Hammer ready. He'll have that ready very shortly.
It started off so well for Alliance. Suddenly we're seeing them kind of falter a bit, and
they do still have this kind of brute force lineup though. Like, if you get into a 5v5 brawl and you get caught out, it's going to come down to vision and initiation like we've seen this entire series. Yeah. Who gets the jump, who catches whom out.
And Alliance, they do scale well going into the late game. We've seen what Bulldog's Nature's Prophet can do as a split pushing machine. Not even just the split push, but he's been primarily prioritizing going for the
Bulldog set up by Chuan, and it's an easy takedown.
Yeah, just to finish that point, Bulldog has been going a lot for the Scythe of Vice and using this Maelstrom into Blink Scythe as an initiation tool. So he starts a fight with a Blink Hex, and then these BK, because Newbee love going for BKB core heroes. We've got Dragon Knight, Gyrocopter. Last game, those BKB cores all over the place. They go for these armlet BKB heroes, and that's where Hex becomes an essential item to initiate because it prevents them from getting BKB off.
Loader, he has become a little bit sticky as well. And Sven needs his Black King bar, and I think both teams are realizing how important it is. As How goes back into the SNY, something that we haven't seen that much come out of Gyros, especially as, you know, a secondary or even tertiary item if you count the Dragon Lance that he split back into the BKB. And it does give him a hell of a lot of stats to really withstand the initial brute force from Alliance that maybe could catch him out.
The stats are definitely nice. The kiting and all that against the melee Sven is pretty nice, but this hero has received nerfs for ranged heroes. I'm not sure if I still like the item as much. If it not for being like a Gyrocopter who can just sit there, kind of keep right-clicking away on the Sven, I'd kind of question this item a bit, but even so, it's still not like amazing. He's not going to transition so well into a carry because of it on top of that. But at this stage, I think Newbee are just wanting to pick up whatever cheap, cost-effective items they can get now to fight, because they recognize that Alliance are going to be looking to come at them again fairly soon. And that next Roshan is something that Newbee will want to contest.
It might just be a comfort thing. The other option, he had the Asher already.
Absolutely.
Could have been the Manta style, but Sanjin Asher has been a mainstay of Gyro for so long. But we'll see Alliance. Loader jumps Kaka, throw the call down onto Loader as well. The ghosts are out, and Loader dropping incredibly low. The Sunray keeps him alive. RK holding this one out. Loader still up and running, turns back onto How. Still no one's dropped as Chuan chased out by S4 and Moo in the mix of things, but the Supernova finally lands, and Moo is held down and demolished. Alliance, they've killed off 2 and they've got no buybacks available. The chase is on. Admiral Bulldog, where's the Sprout? Still on cooldown. Newbee, tail between legs, back behind their tier 2 into tier 3. But Alliance, that smoke into catch.
Yep.
Gorgeous stuff.
It's great because it's a much better way to structure your team fights, where it's Loader initiating in with the Blink Dagger. He then draws the attention to himself. If it's S4 in the front lines, he gets burst down. The big difference in that fight is that there isn't enough spells focus on S4, who's in exorcism form, and that's something you've got to deal with. He's a much bigger threat than Loader, but because Loader's in your face, right-clicking away, your immediate reaction is to first waste the mech just to save the IO, and then second, they have to throw the disables of Lion to deal with the Sven on the front line. Sven was just too much of a beast, and then S4 just gets ignored. If they can kill S4 there and use everything on him, that fight goes fine, or at least even for Newbee.
Chasing around that Sven for days. Roshan, what's that? Another 25, 30 seconds or so, Alliance. You've got a long time to wait, but they will try and case out the joint as Newbee realized the potential here. This scan, oh, there we go. Turns red. Alliance know they're incoming. And they'll realize also that they're smoked up, so preparation for this fight, but they're...
scan on Ake.
Damn right there is. There's Phoenix. Wanders himself back up onto the high ground. Alliance, do you have the vision? Do you have the ability to see Newbee as they walk themselves into this? Neither team sees anyone. Chuan jumps forward, the aggressive play, but he doesn't land the stun, and EGM will, still mana drain. Not exactly what he was aiming for.
Chuan just couldn't quite get the jump, and similarly, Moo and the DK wasn't close enough, didn't have the ulti form. He needed to maybe ulti form before going into the Shadow Blade to get the range stun. And as a result, Newbee will be forced back, and I think may just concede Roshan with the TP's top. Actually, I say that they've got relocated, and actually this is a clear plan from them to leave 3 heroes bottom who can contest Roshan and then have the relocate to get in. But they've got to get back there soon. Otherwise, they're not contesting this.
Alliance don't see them. Where they're moving from this bottom lane.
They're sending in illusions, but I think Newbee have perhaps underestimated Alliance's just tenacity to go for this Roshan.
That is an illusion. Newbee.
They've got to get in there fast. They've got Ravage.
They will try and jump in. There's a good Earth Spike. Catches S4. Bulldog blinks out. The Ravage catches onto 3. KB blinked in, and the Alliance being demolished with Sven. He's got the cleave. Can he do the damage back onto the Aegis? Still on the floor. Buyback from Arcane. Thire's career drops, but a Loader in the mix of things. The Gyro takes the Aegis, and How with a triple kill looks to clear up Alliance. This Roshan fight has been disastrous for them. The Gyro drops down to the Sunray. Lovely little ability, but there's no dive, there's no escape.
Chuan's going to blink.
Sprout.
Oh, Moo might catch Bulldog. Okay, gets the blink away, but an ultra kill for How. Just beast moding there. Chuan sets it. It's a great Ravage and all, but it's Chuan who buys some time. He blinks it. Chuan leads in as a 4-position support, squishy line. He's like, I'm just going to take a gamble. Blink, impale blindly to the Roshan pit. Then they run in with the Tide, and then they just go for it with the relocate in and the Tide Ravage, and S4 caught in the middle of it. Taken out at the start of the fight, and that's got to be how Newbee approached the fight. Burst down S4 first. That is the #1 priority every single time, and S4 is going to quickly realize BKB has to be his next item pickup.
Even with Bulldog's great positioning, getting himself out of the pit with a Blink Dagger. It is rough stuff out for Alliance. I really saw that Sven in the middle of like 5 heroes. He had the line for the cleave.
Yeah.
He just got controlled up and couldn't really do the damage back into them.
He was just left alone. It was like Sven versus the world. And the Phoenix is also in the Roshan pit, which is a bit of a problem because I think in that scenario, Phoenix would rather be Sunray than in the Supernova, because as soon as they finish blowing up the Death Prophet, that egg is sitting there waiting to be taken out. And having a BKB on Dragonite and Gyro means there's no worry about being able to kill the egg or not. You're always going to be able to bring it down if it's close enough to you, and the egg was inside the Roche pit. When you're fighting at the Roche pit as a Phoenix, you have to get the egg onto one of the cliffs, onto one of those kind of hard-to-reach terrain spots, and that was something Ake just couldn't quite manage to do.
And what's the swing like in terms of net worth and that? Because 7-9 now, and Newbee, they do take the advantage. A little bit of a spike back and forth, 3K or so, but experience is the big one there, gaining these big levels. Look at the Dragonite and the Gyrocopter, 17 on Gyro and DK. How many forms of ulti does he have? He's still level 15, so he doesn't have the Frost Dragon, but they'll jump onto EGM. There's a nice initiation from Chuan. The Sunray keeping this Rubik alive, but it's not going to be enough. Damage out.
Chuan is just making plays happen. He gets the ward behind the tower. He's so keen to initiate, and he knows, like, even if things completely backfire, it's just a Lion that is being caught out. But he's finding these pickoffs and putting Newbee in a great position to win this Game 3 decider.
S4, where are you wandering off to? You are all alone down here, Newbee. I don't actually see where he's wandering off to. I won't be able to catch him. That's Skadi.
Whoa, this Gyro is suddenly ridiculously farmed and incredibly tanky.
2.5k HP.
This is the Let's Kite the Sven for Days build. The SMY plus Skadi are the two items that function so well on a Gyrocopter when dealing with a melee carry who wants to get up in your face.
All he needs now is Butterfly, and so you can't touch this build.
Yep, I like it. Get a Butterfly in the mix, and suddenly Sven is going to have a very tough time.
I'm not going to be able to do anything with it. Arcane Rune for Dragon Knight. That's going to be nice for his ultimate if he can pop that in time. He didn't bottle it, though. I'll try and keep it on him, but Newbee forcing even the BKB from Bulldog. He knows that he needs fighting items. The initiation is not going to be enough from the Hex. He needs something sooner to actually battle into Newbee within the next 5 minutes, because you just know that Newbee are going to run at you.
Yep.
They've taken down all but one outer tower. There's the tier 2 at bottom lane, and they will be trying to get up onto your high ground and take down your racks, utilizing smoke, pushing out top lane. The bottom lane is something they have to be wary of, though, because Bulldog has really been focusing on keeping that one out.
That's funny you say utilizing smokes. It feels like Newbee always have a smoke this game. Finally now, for like the first time, I think they're out of smokes for like 6.5 minutes, which feels about right, because I feel like every key fight, it's Newbee getting a jump with the smoke initiations. They've been using smokes just so incredibly well, and that's something which they won't have access to for some time, but they can slow things down now. They don't have to rush. There's no Roche that they've got to contest. They don't have an Aegis. They're in a position where they can continue to scale pretty well moving forward. Put the Butterfly you mentioned on the Gyrocopter. Dragonite can complete an Assault Crest, which is, again, going to further negate Sven's impact in these fights. And once it's just Sven, when it's Sven's damage output is limited in the fight, it means you can entirely focus on the Death Prophet of S4. If you can catch him with a Disable before he gets off BKB, S4 is going to struggle in these team fights. He's also going to finish that BKB, which is close to completion, but not quite there.
Chuan was hunting for Bulldog, but Nature's Prophet hiding away in the trees and flapping himself around the map, but there's a little bit of a dance of death down there, the duel at the end. Newbee position themselves again now. This Wisp with the relocate, they've got him paired up with the Dragon Knight. They've got him paired up with a Gyrocopter. There's the other three that are towards mid, so it's going to be Gyro and the Wisp that look to relocate in on top of the tanky DK. Now,
and I like that, like Gyro TP's bottom to continue farming, and immediately Kaka is TPing home and headed bottom to back up the Gyro, knowing that either A, Gyro might get ganked down here and we'll need a relocate save, or B, a team fight could break up middle and you need to relocate the Gyro in. So we're going to see Io always sitting behind one of these key carries, typically the Gyrocopter who wants to farm a bit more. And it's just been very, very consistent and stable play coming out from Kaka's Wisp throughout this tournament. He's not a flashy Wisp player. He doesn't aggressively relocate as much as other players do, but he's always where he needs to be.
Alliance seem very timid right now. Loda, from being the big boss man at, 10, 15 minutes, pushing forward, always looking for the blink initiations, looking for these kills with a god strength, is at this point in time sitting back on his haunches and saying, well, we've got to wait for other people to catch up to him. He's well farmed, he's just not as well farmed as Gyro. And we've always said about Sven, he's got to be, 4, 5k ahead of his counterpart by this point. Well, S4, 10k net worth, has actually slipped behind this Dragon Knight for now anyway, but the BKB's done. That's the big thing that you pointed out, is S4 does have that magic immunity now over on the Courier.
Yeah, it's a much needed pickup, but you still look at the big picture. Like you mentioned, the fact that he's underfarmed as much as he is means he doesn't have that follow-up item. We're getting to the point where, okay, you got your BKB, but now you've got to worry about the physical damage. There's an AC, as well as a farmed gyrocopter on the other team. If these heroes are on you, you're still a 1360 HP death profit who may just melt regardless, BKB or not.
Gyro
so
and
S4
DK
is going to struggle. He needs, like, perhaps either Shivers or Nocturne Core. Both items give him some survivability.
Initiated on. It's a good Sunray, but the damage output again from Newbee is just too much to withstand, and they are chasing through on this. Bulldog drums away. Loda and S4 up on the high ground. They'll dive forward to the Phoenix to try and slow this down. But how? Well, even without his teammates in close vicinity, he is just rushing forward towards Alliance's base. He knows what he wants, and he knows how to get it.
And I like that he's maxed the homing missile. This spell actually scales very well. Heading towards the late game takes a lot more hits to destroy, and can also just force a preemptive BKB on someone like Sven. If you just spam it onto the Sven, it may force him just to pop a BKB to engage in a fight, to not get hit by it. And even as you go longer, these BKBs are going to get shorter and shorter, so the homing missiles actually become a decent late-game stun. It's not a reliable stun by any means, but you've got the DK for that. It becomes like a follow-up stun in some ways that can be very pesky to deal with.
A slow clap for Bulldog as he snipes the Courier, and there's one gauntlet on it.
There hasn't been much to cheer for a while for this Alliance team, so the crowd here will take what they can get.
They will indeed.
But it's Newbee who have great map vision, and Alliance going to try bypass it with a smoke out.
Ooh, they found Bulldog with a stun on the BKB as well. They're trying to turn this, but the relocate comes through, and S4 is stunned as well. He pops on BKB, Loda turns back, but the cleave damage is not enough. S4 just being right-clicked down, like you said. The physical damage from Newbee, too much to withstand on Loda. Held in place with another Dragon Tail, the Supernova on the silence, but the ravage back. KP catches the two. Alliance, they're dropping like flies. Newbee, it looks like they've cleared up this team fight with ease.
Oh, the chase is on. They want Ake. He'll get the TP out just barely, but a very decisively won team fight by Newbee. The Death Prophet's lack of items is the story there. Yes, you have your BKB, but the right click's too much. He needs, like, even just a plate mail there, I think would have been enough to hold on. But now Newbee are on the Alliance high ground. There's no Exorcism, there's no Supernova, no Godstreak, there's nothing for Alliance, even when they respawn. So it looks like we may see a Rax here. The one good news is that Newbee, how very low in HP, Moo similar story, a bit low himself, but these respawn timers are going to work against Alliance.
Which Rax can they take? Oh, they get one, and they'll back out. Not going to commit for more. How? BKB TP. There's nothing to stop this, right? There's nothing actually to go through that. No
I like it.
ability.
Safe play. He's already down to the 5-second BKB, or maybe it was a 6-second BKB, but either way, it doesn't really matter about the duration at this stage. He gets out safely, picks up an MKB now as well.
Double Ravage for KP. Refresher Orb is done. After such a crushing laning stage that this Tidehunter has, watching KP come back in such spectacular and significant fashion with these Ravagers. You know, we look at Chuan initiating and getting the kind of little pokes and prods into Alliance, and of course the farming power of Hao, as well as Moo. But KP, from the offlane, has amassed quite an arsenal there of items.
You wouldn't believe his start has
level 1 at
resulted
6
in
minutes
him
or
being
whatever
where
it
he
was.
is now, yeah. And Alliance, it's almost a desperation play, sneaking into the Roshan pit. There's no Ravage for 45. Perhaps not so desperate. They know what they're doing. They know about that cooldown.
They don't know about the refresher though, and Moo's going to walk in here with the invis. He goes in with the AoE, trying to get in. KP refreshes the BKB from Bulldog, holds him in, but Loda's the target. He's the focus. He's gone. He's dead. The collection for Hao continues. And S4 slowed by Moo, and the Supernova on the high ground is going to do a little bit, but not enough. S4 ran into the Spirit Siphon. It's keeping him alive a fair amount, but just look at Newbee. The hordes of Chinese players surrounding the Swedes.
And Loda's back for round 2, but he's got no BKB, no God Strength. He's just got to get the hell out of here. They've got to ditch Roshan. They've got to just prioritize defending their high ground now, waiting for Death Prophet to come back, because This is not a fight they're going to be able to take. And you said it, the refresher from KP, Alliance were not ready for it, and they got demolished because of it.
I know it was coming up in more like 30 seconds, but KP realizes, right, I have to refresh. We need this Ravage, and it worked beautifully for Team Newbee as they look for that tier 2 down in bottom lane, already with observer wards behind the tower, knowing if Alliance potentially want to try and defend, but also they'll be looking up towards this high ground and saying that's a tier 3 and maybe even 2 full lanes of racks that we want to take. They'll go for the safe route instead and just retreat a little bit and reset.
Well, your TI3 champions have come back from worse deficits, but this would definitely be up there. And Newbee, they've got a few players who know a thing or two about winning TIs, and they're thirsty once again. It's been some time since we've seen the name Newbee at the top of these premier tournaments, but they're doing it here at Epicenter, making a run in the lower bracket, and all it's going to take is really one more big team fight, and they can secure the deal. Buybacks are on cooldown on a lot of these heroes. Heroes like Death Prophet just have to buy out, picks up a plate mail just to help keep himself alive, because there's no point having a buyback if you're not going to have Exorcism. Sven, he used it to try and contest Roshan, but now just needs to pick up a Daedalus, whatever he can get for the next fight. So Alliance are really all in, and with an Aegis on Hal, that one teamfight victory is not going to be too hard to come by.
Chuan has whipped them into shape and got them away from those filthy RPGs. Taking it out of their system, and Hal, what's that he's picked up?
It's like you're going to juice cleanse. That's what Chuan's done for this team.
The juice cleanse.
They come back strong.
The cabbage soup cleanse. God.
Lots of kale, I'm sure, in their diet.
Lovely, lovely stuff.
Oh, God, the two teams
this is
so close.
How jumped on, but Loda, damage output not good enough to force staff back. The telekinesis back onto move, but the cooldown is going to land on their heads. The bring back, and S4's gone. Loda, not a leg to stand on, taken out, slowed and kited. They are both dead, and Alliance have to retreat. Will the relocate forward? They're going to try and get Ake as well. Look for EGM. The stun is there from Moon. No, it's not quite. Ake will Sunray to the high ground, trying to escape. The little birdie flapping away. Bulldog in the back, though. Chased out by the homing missile.
Alliance support makes some sick escapes there, but end of the day, that's a team fight where their 2 carries go down, and we're just seeing how poorly Loda matches up against the SMY Skadi Gyrocopter. He doesn't do enough damage in that small BKB window. He's only got a 5-second window, and the Death Prophet can't really stand next to him because S4 is just so squishy. So they wait out the BKB, then Loda gets burst down. And even during his BKB, Gyro's just holding his ground, having a right-click battle with the Sven. He's not doing too much damage, but the main thing is you're just keeping him locked down in place.
Sorry, I'm just giggling at Bulldog. The homing missile chased him half the map, and he does the little taunt where he does the jig with the staff after he gets, bonked on the head. Oh, good stuff. Forever the cheeky guy, Admiral Bulldog.
He may have his memes, but Newbee, they're looking to put together another win streak here after losing game number 2.
And maybe shut up the Empire Twitter guy, because he has been on their case for the past couple of days. High ground it goes.
No Lion with them, but I don't know if they need Lion. They've got double Ravage. They didn't even have to use Ravage in that last team fight.
I don't know if they even had it. It's tier 3 in ranks. They're dropping so fast. Hao and Moo close to unkillable here. It's going to be down to this Death Prophet to position herself nicely in the front of the team fight, waiting for Loda and Bulldog to swipe in from the side, but Moo is already invisible.
Bulldog.
Oh, Newbee, they know this is coming. Bulldog with the BKB aggressive playing to Kaka, but they can't focus him down. He's going to TP out. Oh, they're going to finish him off. No, they're not. Barely escaped on a beasting of health. Away with 50 HP, and now Newbee moved back up at the racks. They know the Bulldog is healing. They know there's no BKB on him, and they know that the initiation power of Alliance is diminished severely as they go onto EGM. There comes S4. The Supernova is down, but Loda controlled up, taken out. There's no buyback on the Sven. Alliance are crumbling, and they might just lose the game off the back of the double Ravage from KP, holding on to the second one. But it's Bulldog that's the last one standing, and Newbee take game 3 as Alliance tap out.
Oh, a tense finish. Newbee had to have been sweating in the first 15-20 minutes of this game. They looked like a flat team there, unable to find kills. Their first 2 to 3 smokes, all unsuccessful. Alliance did such a perfect job keeping away from them, but eventually Newbee hit their item timings. How, to me, the MVP of this series, his Sven, his Gyrocopter, game after game, this guy just delivered. And he stepped up when Moo, for the first time in this tournament, it felt like just wasn't playing to his full capacity, but boy, was that an incredible showing.